Hello everybody. Today I am going to deliver a lecture briefly on how after expiration of the limitation period a suit or proceedings are filed before the court. As you know, section 3 of the Limitation Act says that every suit, appeal or petition, that is application filed after prescribed period of limitation, is liable to be dismissed even though the defense is not set up, but it is subject to section 4 to 24 of the Limitation Act. So it is very clear that the court can dismiss the suit, appeal or application after expiry of limitation period, even if the defendant does not file the written statement. Now, Order 7, Rule 6 of the CPC says that where the suit is filed after expiration of prescribed limitation period, plaintiff shall show the grounds upon which the exemption from such law is claimed. So now, further the provision to said rule says that the grounds for exemption should not be inconsistent with the other paras of the plaintiff. Now, it is very how to file the suit or proceedings after prescribed limitation period. So, section 4 to 24 of the limitation periods are exception to the general rule that is stated in section 3 of the Limitation Act. Now, section 4 says that once on the last day of the limitation period is a holiday, then the next day the suit or proceeding has to be filed. Section 5, as you know, is an application filed in appeal or petitions, wherein for sufficient cause the delay is to be condoned in not filing that appeal or petition in time. And apparently section 5 is not applicable to suit and execution proceedings. Hence, it does not avail to the suit and execution proceeding. Then comes the next section is section 6, wherein the legal disability, that is minority, lunacy, idiocy, etc., are mentioned and how the time limitation comes to run is mentioned. Section 7 speaks of disability of such persons who are disability of the several persons. Then section 8 says that this section 6 and 7 of the Limitation Act does not apply to enforcing a right of preemption. And here up to 3 years period is given when disability of this section 6 and 7 occurs to file a suit for preemption. Then section 12 comes, wherein exclusion of time in respect of certified copies obtained for judgment, decree, sentence, review, order, etc. So these are the time wherein various times where the time is excluded in filing the suit or proceeding or even appeal. Then comes section 13, exclusion of the time in case where the person who is suing in pauper, that is indigent person suit, or even filing appeal by such indigent person. Then comes section 14 of the Limitation Act, wherein exclusion of the proceeding bona fide filed in with court without jurisdiction. Then comes the section 15, wherein exclusion of time in certain other cases. That is, if the notice under section 80 subsection 2 or any other notice against the government authority is issued, then that is exempted under this section. Then If a receiver is appointed in insolvency proceedings, such time of receiver appointment is also excluded. Then suit for possession by a purchaser in auction sale. The proceedings where a suit is challenged by the opposite party is also excluded. Then comes, if the defendant is absent from India, then also such a period is excluded for the plaintiff to file a suit or proceedings. Then comes section 16. What is the effect of death on or before a right to sue accrues? That is mentioned in detail how it can be constituted. You can go through, read and go through the same. Now, this right in section 16 is wherein an exception is created in respect of a right of preemption as well as suit for possession of immovable property, hereditary immovable property has been mentioned. Then comes section 17, fraud and mistake. So here, in majority of the cases, fraud may be the criteria for excluding a limitation period. Here, the fraud has to be mentioned, pleaded in the suit or proceedings, and it is one of the major reasons to exclude the limitation period when a particular act is concealed by the defendant or the respondent, upon which, and even you can take section 17 of the Contact Act for details about this fraud, and even a reference can be made to the fraud in the Indian Penal Code also. So fraud must be pleaded. So it is in one of the citations, it is held that fraud must be pleaded and proved beyond reasonable doubt, just like a criminal case. So likewise, section 18, 19 and 20 speaks about effect of acknowledgement. Then section 19 speaks about effect of payment on account of debt. Then section 20 speaks about payment by another person. These three categories of sections are applicable to the suit for recovery of money, suit based on money, debts or promissory notes, etc. Then comes section 21, effect of substituting or adding new plaintiff. So this is during pendency of the suit, this section will apply. And section 22 is continuous breaches or torts. So as you know, this permanent injunction suit and mandatory injunction suit, they do not have any limitation period, and there is no mention of limitation period of this nature of suit. This nature of the suit comes under section 22, that is continuous breaches and torts. They give rise to every time a cause of action for filing the suits. Section 23 comes with regard to suit for compensation for acts not. So this is with regard to the damages claimed or compensation claimed from the defendant, and in particular here suit for compensation for acts not actionable without special damages, how it should be filed, how limitation is to be construed. Then comes section 24, computation of time mentioned in instrument. So instrument is to be mentioned as per the calendar. It is mentioned in section 24. But in fact, here what I want to say before you is, even in respect of section 25, it should be borne in mind that a right of ear, a right of way, is meant to right up to 20 years if any person continuously observes such right, then the said right can be claimed before the court. Then further I want to inform you that section 29 of the limitation, section 29(2) of the limitation specifically say that no limitation is applicable in respect of matrimonial proceedings except appeals. Now it is very clear that how in drafting a plaint you have to specifically mention a para when after expiry of prescribed limitation period, that how the suit, appeal, or application or execution petition, so or application is maintained. But here, as you know, for execution, filing of the execution petition, 12 years is the limitation, and there is no section 5 of the limitation act does not apply to execution petition, and majority of the provision except 6 7 and very few sections of the limitation this act applies. So already a maximum period of 12 years is prescribed for filing execution period, but here even a time for excluded for obtaining certified copies, or even if the appellate court has stayed a particular period, that is also can be excluded. So now bring to the notice of you all that when appeal period is for in respect of regular appeal, 30 days are prescribed as per limitation act, and for regular second appeal 90 days are prescribed. So if this when we go through article 30 A and B of the limitation acts, which clearly say the period of limitation for filing regular appeal and regular second appeal. So under such circumstances, if there is delay by way of fever, by way of any disease or any other reasonable cause, if the appellant is prevented, then he can make use of section 5 of the limitation act and can file the appeal before the appellate court. This is all. Further, if the respondent in appeal files an objection to this section 5 limitation application, if it is contested, sometimes the appellant has to lead the evidence with regard to delay, condonation of the delay. Then the court will pass the order either fixing cost on the appellant, etc., or if there is no sufficient explanation of the delay, then court can even reject the application as well as dismiss the appeal. Now you can see that various petitions are filed. Section 2B of the limitation act says that application includes petition. So here petition means petition for restoration of the suit, petition for setting aside the ex parte, and various types of the petition which are prescribed under law. So the limitation for instituting such petition are fixed for. So after expiry of such period, if the petitioner wants to file the same, under such circumstances, the petitioner has to take the help of section 5 for the delay, and as well as whatever the remedy available in section 4 to 24, that can also be availed by this petitioner. Hence, I conclude my lecture with regard to how to file suit, appeal and petition after prescribed period before the court. Hence this lecture.